Hey guys, welcome back to All Things Graft. In today's video, I'm going to try to give you a complete breakdown of what the Graft network is and how it's being designed to function. The aim is to get you to really understand the goal of the project so that you can better visualize its potential. Now, I started doing research on cryptocurrencies several years ago, and it didn't take long for me to realize that cryptocurrencies designed with the primary goal of being a currency have the potential of being the future of our financial world. Their aim as decentralized digital currencies is to become a replacement for centralized and privately owned fiat currencies created and controlled by the central banks of the world. Unfortunately, however, despite being brilliantly designed to potentially replace fiat currencies, cryptocurrencies were not designed to replace or even work alongside with already existing payment systems. This is something that is extremely important to understand. In order for you to really understand what the Graft network is all about, you really need to understand this difference. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Litecoin are decentralized currencies or online cash. Their network simply allows its users to send the cryptocurrency between each other, not to provide payment services or payment solutions. This is one of the main reasons why cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Litecoin have not gained any sort of real traction in becoming adopted for everyday use, other than for perhaps online payments or as a speculative investment. Consumers and merchants from around the world have become accustomed to utilizing a variety of features and services provided by payment platforms that provide payment solutions. Cryptocurrencies that are primarily designed as currencies are not payment platforms or payment solutions. The easiest way to understand the Graft network is through an analogy. Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Monero are to the dollar, the euro, the pound, and the yen, as the Graft network is to the Visa or MasterCard networks. Visa and MasterCard allow consumers and merchants to transact with each other through the use of their network via debit cards and credit cards, and provides them with a wide variety of features and services. This is similar to what the Graft network intends to do, but it'll do it for the world of cryptocurrencies. Graft's aim is to be a global decentralized payment processing network, which brings to cryptocurrencies all of the features and services consumers and merchants have become accustomed to utilizing for over half a century. Their objective is to make cryptocurrencies as easy and convenient to use as debit cards and credit cards. You can think of Graft as the Visa or MasterCard of cryptocurrencies, but it doesn't just stop there. Graft also aims to be a universal payment platform, so it won't just be limited to accepting cryptocurrency payments. With Graft, merchants will also be able to accept all sorts of payment options, like Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, PayPal, Amazon Payments, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, basically any payment service that is available for us to use anywhere in the world. Graft is being built as a decentralized one-stop payment network that can process all sorts of payment options, including the ones we've all come to love, cryptocurrencies. But how exactly does Graft intend to do all of this? In other words, how will it work? Well, first of all, if you've been around the cryptocurrency space for a while, you'd know that the two biggest challenges cryptocurrencies face in obtaining mainstream adoption is being too slow for merchants to accept as payments and being too volatile, where merchants risk losing value on any goods they sell. Graft intends to solve both of these problems by mimicking the way debit and credit card transactions are processed, and it'll do it in a way that keeps the entire process decentralized. Understanding the Graft network really isn't all that difficult once you understand a little of how debit and credit card transactions are processed. Let's quickly break down the steps to get a better understanding. There are two steps to every debit and credit card transaction. These are called authorization and settlement. The authorization part occurs the moment you swipe your debit or credit card through a merchant's point-of-sale terminal. This is where the merchant is informed via the card's network whether your transaction is approved or declined. This step takes only about 3 seconds or less. The settlement part occurs behind the scenes, and it's where the funds are debited from your bank and deposited into the merchant's bank. This step takes about 2 to 3 days. Graft intends to solve the slow cryptocurrency problem by mimicking the debit and credit card transaction process and utilize what are called supernodes to authorize transactions and miners to settle transactions. Authorizations on the Graft network will take about 3 seconds or less, and the settlement will occur within a few minutes. Graft also intends to solve the price volatility problem by utilizing what they call service brokers, which will allow merchants to not only receive payouts in their cryptocurrency of choice, but also in their local fiat currency. Now, Graft is a decentralized payment network, which means it runs on its own blockchain. The Graft team has decided to implement CryptoNote as an underlying transaction recording protocol. This is the same protocol that is used to run the Monero blockchain, and it enables all transactions on the Graft network to be secure, completely private, and untraceable. This means the Graft blockchain is based on proof of work and is supported by miners, which earn block rewards for helping settle transactions. The supernodes, which are based on proof of stake, earn their rewards by providing instant real-time authorizations. The service brokers, which will facilitate cryptocurrency and fiat currency exchanges, as well as various other services, are hosted on top of supernodes and charge a fee every time their service is used. Now, in order for Graft to compete with traditional payment systems, it needs to provide merchants with the same set of tools they currently have at their disposal. By this, I mean the same transaction types and payment flows that they've become accustomed to utilizing. Well, that's exactly what Graft does. Graft brings traditional debit and credit card transaction types and payment flows to the world of cryptocurrencies, which will allow merchants to make a seamless transition onto its platform. This is something that is very important to note here. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Litecoin don't offer transaction types most merchants rely on when transacting with consumers. An example of this would be a transaction type known as pre-authorization, or pre-auth. Pre-authorization is a debit and credit card transaction commonly used at gas stations, restaurants, hotels, and car rental environments. It is where the consumer swipes their card first prior to knowing the total amount of the transaction. The merchant then completes or finalizes the transaction at a future point in time, once the amount is known. This is something that is not currently possible with cryptocurrencies, and it's a major roadblock on the road to mainstream adoption. Graft intends to solve this problem by offering consumers and merchants the flexibility of using cryptocurrencies with a wide variety of transaction types, similar to how they can with traditional payment systems. This will enable consumers to use their favorite cryptocurrency for everyday purchases anywhere Graft is accepted. Graft will also offer its users the ability to transfer funds in 3 different ways, which is unique to the Graft blockchain. These are send, pay, and transfer. The send option is similar to how users on other blockchains transfer funds, and its speed is dependent upon the blockchain's block time. If you've ever used Bitcoin, for example, you'd know that with this option, the sender is responsible for initiating the transaction and is also responsible for paying the transaction fee. You can think of it as the bank wire transfer of cryptocurrencies. Slow, but still way faster than traditional bank wire transfers. The pay option, which is unique to the Graft blockchain, allows its users to pay at any Graft-enabled point-of-sale terminal or the Graft point-of-sale app, instantly and in real time. This option is based on Graft's real-time authorization technology and is supported by the Graft supernode. In this case, the merchant is the one who initiates the transaction by requesting a payment from the buyer. It is extremely important to note that with this option, the payer does not pay any transaction fees. The merchant is the one responsible for the fees, and as far as I'm aware, there is no other blockchain out there to offer such a feature. This is similar to how consumers and merchants have become accustomed to transacting, and you can think of it as paying with a debit or credit card, but using your favorite cryptocurrency instead. And finally, we have what's called the transfer option. This option, also unique to the Graft blockchain and initiated by the sender, allows users to transfer funds without either of them paying any transaction fees. This option is similar to a free bank ACH transfer, but instead of it taking hours or even days to receive funds, it will only take a few minutes. It's important to note that the transfer feature will only be available to authenticated Graft network users. Graft network participants will have the option to prove their identity to the network using zero-knowledge proof authentication technology without having to compromise their privacy. Which brings me to the next very important point. In order for Graft network participants to remain compliant with Know Your Customer laws and anti-money laundering regulations, Graft will provide resources for machine-based identity verification and fraud detection via its supernodes. Graft will also be providing a user management service, which will allow users to share identity attributes such as name, age, sex, home address, or any sort of identity information merchants are required to obtain in order to legally complete a transaction. The user management service will come with advanced authentication features, such as multi-factor authentication with biometrics, allowing users to gain access to their accounts through a combination of elements. This will also help prevent inexperienced blockchain users from having lost key problems, allowing them to regain access to their accounts from a variety of devices. Graft will also allow network participants to take a risk-based approach to every transaction by assigning a reputation score to every user on the network. The user's reputation score can be seen as something similar to a credit card score and will be dynamically updated based on their interactions with the network. Users will also have the option of linking their identity to their accounts, which will help raise their score. Consumers and merchants will then be able to view each other's reputation score and quickly determine whether or not they like to proceed with a transaction. Now, there are plenty of other unique features Graft plans to offer as part of its payment platform, which include a native multi-cryptocurrency wallet, merchant smart contract tokens, VeChains, and decentralized crowd-funded credit cards. With all of these features combined, I believe Graft has the potential of completely reshaping the entire payment industry by bringing it decentralization and making cryptocurrency payments faster, cheaper, and easier to use. When I first learned about Bitcoin, I thought that it had the potential of giving us a world where we could be free of the control of financial institutions, but the more I learned, the more its limitations became apparent. Bitcoin cannot bring us to that ideal world on its own, as it is not designed to replace the way consumers and merchants have become accustomed to transacting. People need to start wanting to use Bitcoin because it's faster, cheaper, and easier to use, which it's not, while also giving them the flexibility of transacting in a way that they're used to, which it doesn't. In my opinion, Graft is a lot closer to bringing us to that ideal world that we are all looking forward to. If you liked this video, please don't forget to hit that like button. Also, feel free to share it with anyone who you believe may benefit from this information. I plan on making a lot more Graft-related videos, as there's still a lot more I have yet to discuss. Until next time though, this is All Things Graft, signing off.